And then even I'm gonna pull the transmission back into S to see how it does. So here we go, gonna take off and then just get into it now, wide open throttle. Yeah, back off there, got at a pretty good speed. And yeah, the car's definitely quick. Welcome to Drive Culture. I'm Jonathan Rivers, and today we have a 2026 Acura Integra A-Spec technology package. And I'm going to tell you why the changes they've made for 2026 have made Integra an even better value in this compact sedan segment. So we'll go over the exterior, the interior, the powertrain, and of course, take it for a drive. So if this is content you're after or you're new to the channel, please be sure to click that bell to subscribe to come back for more. And with that, let's get after it. Now, guys, here we have a 2026 Acura Integra A-Spec with technology package. So that means it is the fully loaded version of the Integra. So real quick, let's talk about the trims and pricing. So for 2026, you essentially have three trim options, right? The standard trim will set you back $33,400 MSRP. Or if you want all the kind of sport accent design elements, get the A-Spec package, that's going to jump up to $35,950 MSRP. But if you want all the features, the premium sound system, things like that, then you got to go all in with the technology package, which will set you back $39,200 MSRP before D&H, paint, and things like that. But let's talk about the paint here, because this is actually a new color for the Integra. Now, it's made its way on the other Acura products over the last couple model years, but this is the first time we're seeing it here on the Integra. And this is called Double Apex Blue Pearl. So if you remember, when Integra launched, there was a Apex Blue Pearl, which was much more of a dark blue, like a royal blue color. This double Apex Blue really turns it up. It kind of becomes more of an electric blue. It's a really pretty color. And like I said, it's on a few other Acura models right now. If you want this paint, though, it'll set you back an extra $600 MSRP. But even still, and even on this top trim, that means you're still under $40,000 MSRP. And in the grand scheme of things, when today the average price of a new vehicle is $50,000, that again makes this really a good value in the premium sport sedan segment. So next, let's go ahead and do a full exterior walk around of this 2026 Acura Integra A-Spec with technology package. All right, guys, here we are with the 2026 Acura Integra A-Spec with technology package. And like I said, this is actually a mid-cycle refresh for the Integra. So as you guys know, this what Acura calls the fifth generation of the Integra, DE4 and DE5 for Type S. These models came back in 2023 for Integra A-Spec and 2024 for the Type S. And then like usual, every couple years, the automakers will go ahead and add some updates that kind of spice things up and bring new customers into the aging product. So let me know what you guys think about the changes here. We're going to go into all the exterior details now. So from the outside, there weren't that many updates, right? I mean, the Integra already looked really good, was well received in the marketplace, won car of the year, a lot of accolades, especially as it comes to Type S and things like that. So overall, they didn't really make a lot of changes. Obviously one of them, which we talked about just a second ago, is this paint though. And today, admittedly, is a little bit of overcast here, so you're probably gonna get a little bit more dark blue than that electric blue I was talking about, but it really is a pretty color, and it definitely stands out from the normal Apex blue that was previously on the Integra. That was, like I said, much more of a dark royal blue color. But one of the big changes is right up here in the front. So we'll go and talk about it. And the thing is that this isn't the case on every color, but on this double Apex blue, they actually went ahead and painted the front grille. So before, that whole diamond pentagon grille behind the Acura caliper was a piano black. But on this new color, they went ahead and painted it. And so I'll get up close. You can see, I mean, it's bold. It definitely stands out. What do you guys think? You can see they still have things like the parking sensors integrated nicely into the grille. You can still see the Integra in the front fascia, Acura there in the headlights. So all those details that were there before are still present, but that grille definitely changes the overall look and feel. And like I said, you're only going to find that on the double apex blue, the performance red pearl, and some of those colors. It's not on every single color available for the Integra. Now the thing is if you really wanted a piano black grille, you could actually go and still get one as an accessory and swap it out. But let me know your guys' thoughts and comments down below. One of the other changes they made was down here in the lower area. You can see they added these kind of piano black lip spoilers on both sides. So that's an update as part of this 2026 refresh, and it's on the A-Spec trims only. So if you get that standard Integra trim, you won't have these extra pieces. But you still get things on this top trim like, the premium LED fog lights down below, those, kind of functional air curtains off to the side, nice little touch. And of course, down below, you really get that, exposed front mount intercooler for the turbocharged engine, which we'll talk about here during the powertrain section. But next, let's go ahead and just kind of take in the full side profile here of Integra. Like I said, nothing, really sheet metal wise changed. Pretty much the body is the way it is. Really, it's just some small details like that body kit. So again, the side profile looks really good. As you guys know, Integra is really a 5-door liftback design. So again, that didn't change for 2026. But what did change are the wheels, at least the color. So they kept the same design that they previously had on the Integra A-Spec package, but here they actually changed them. They used to be a sharp gray, like a dark gray color, and now they're here in Berlina black with some black lug nuts, which help make it all blend together. So these are 235 40R 18s on the Integra A-Spec, and if obviously you step up and get something like the Type S, you actually jump up to 19-inch wheels and tires. But the 18s still look good, and again, I think the black accent helps again with that like front spoiler piece there that actually also carries all along the side. So that's kind of a newer side sill garnish that was added as part of that A-Spec package for 2026. So like I said, some nice little enhancements there on the exterior. You do get the black treatment around the windows. You do get, colored mirrors, LED turn signals. They're not power folding. You do get things like a moonroof on this top trim, smart entry on the driver and passenger. There's your fuel door. But in the rear, square setup for the wheels and tires, still in that new black paint. But let's go ahead and quickly talk about the rear. So again, the rear didn't change either. So essentially, now you still got, the A-Spec badge off to the left, Acura caliper in the middle, Integra embossed in the right under the tail light there, 4 parking sensors, dual exhaust, and a slightly aggressive rear diffuser there. But really, like I said, the sheet metal and overall design didn't change for the Integra. So next, let's go ahead and jump inside to talk about the interior. All right, guys, here we are inside this 2026 Acura Integra A-Spec with technology package. And like I said on the exterior, there weren't a lot of changes for this mid-cycle refresh for Integra, which again means they got a lot of things right the first time around. But there's obviously some small updates, really just some small like color changes and things like that that they've updated even for the interior of this 2026 Integra. So first and foremost, let's talk about the steering wheel, the materials in here. Again, this looks like a direct carryover from what was in the car before, but it's a leather steering wheel, contrast stitching, A-Spec badging on the bottom. Of course, you got the chrome Acura caliper here on the airbag cover. You got all your volume controls off to the left, all your ADAS and cruise control off to the right, and you do get paddle shifters, a minus on the left, a plus on the right. Now, we'll talk about how all that works during the drive portion. But again, really nice size diameter, very sporty, feels good in your hand. Along the dash, pretty much most of this is carryover from before, really like soft touch materials up top. But one of the things that did change is kind of this whole centerpiece, right? This really has become a new material for 2026. And again, it's going to be different on the non-A spec and now this A spec trim. Before it was a much darker gray color and even a different pattern. Now it has kind of this like, silvery kind of finish to it. looks almost aluminum in its look and feel, but it's definitely it kind of makes it a little bit more premium than the pre-refresh Integra. You still get the same kind of joystick style controls for all of your HVAC and climate vents. Down here, all your HVAC controls are also the same, but still really premium. You can hear that sound, very tactile and feel. You do get heated seats, which we'll talk about here in a second. And as we make our way further down, one other thing that you'll notice here on the dash is this piece here actually matches the rest of the interior, and that is something different. So before, on the non-Type S models, this piece here was always a black leatherette material, but now they've color matched it to the rest of the interior, something they first introduced on the Type S. As you look here in the center area, this all looks the same. You still get a USB-A data port, USB-C charging port, 12-volt socket, and then down below that, a wireless charge pad. So that's nice, works well. As you come a little bit further back, you're going to see the shift lever here because this is the CVT transmission. Obviously, they make a manual transmission still. That's still an option. Off to the left, you got all your controls for individual mode, dynamic modes, turning off the engine start idle stop function, electronic parking brake, as well as brake hold function there. And then if you come a little bit further back, you got two cup holders, nice little center armrest, deep pocket inside there. So again, really good space inside here. But let's talk about some of the materials in the doors. Still really looks the same as the pre-refresh, the soft materials up top. Driver memory seating on this top trim. Nice controls here for your windows and mirrors. That same kind of like leatherette material carries on to the door. And then, obviously you get these huge speaker grills because this being the top trim comes with that 16 speaker ELS Studio 3D audio system. So it hasn't changed over to the Bang& Olufsen system that some of the other newer model Acuras have, but it's still a really premium sound system. There's tweeters here in the A pillars. There's speakers right above your head. It sounds really, really good. So next, let's talk about these seats. So that is another small change point for 2026. So fundamentally, I feel like the shape and bolstering are the same as before, but what's different is the seating surface. So now on this new top trim A-Spec technology package. Before, this whole seating surface down the back and the center was a kind of like suede-like material, a micro suede material. There still is a little bit, but it's a much smaller section of the seat. It's here in this smaller piece in the middle on the top and on the bottom. The rest of the seat is now basically a full leather seat. And then one of the other key changes is these kind of like inserts here used to be black. Now they're blue on this orchid interior. So orchid is kind of their off-white interior. They still offer a red interior and a black interior, but those also have slight differences from the pre-refresh model to now. So the black interior, for example, gets all kinds of yellow contrast stitching and piping and things like that. So that's quite a bit different than before. Both seats are power for both the driver and the passenger, although the driver gets a little bit more power adjustability like lumbar support. You do get three-stage heated seats here with the buttons right and easy reach to control, so that's a nice function as well. But next, let's go ahead and talk about some of the tech in the car. So you still get on this top trim a 9-inch color touchscreen with wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. It doesn't get the Google built-in functionality as part of this refresh, but you still get great connectivity there. Lots of places to charge, as I mentioned. But right in front of you, you get a 10.2-inch digital instrument cluster that's customizable. Can show your, like heads-up directions. Can also show the little car that pops up and shows the other vehicles around for the ADAS functions. So that also pretty much carries over from before, showing you obviously what that looks like here. But essentially, you still have a lot of customization out of that digital instrument cluster. And yes, on this top trim, you do get a full color head-up display as part of this technology package. Lastly, as I mentioned on the exterior, you do get a moonroof, manual shade here, but it does tilt and open, sunglass holder, and some premium LED overhead lights. So I think we've covered just about everything up front. So next, let's go ahead and hop in the second row. All right, here we are in the second row of this Integra A-Spec with technology package. And so this is actually my, driving position, had the seat, slide up a little bit. This is a lot of room back here, guys. I mean, obviously that didn't change as part of the refresh, but the Integra was always a spacious, kind of compact sedan. But man, I'm 5'10". I've got tons of knee room. Can easily fit my feet up under the seat. Lots of headroom. Pretty good shoulder room. There's obviously a small hump in the floor here, but it's nothing major. And again, I think you could easily fit three adults back here. No problem at all. There is a center armrest that pulls down, exposes two cup holders, nice soft material. And again, overall, the kind of same orchid leatherette material that's up front carries over to the rear, same kind of contrast stitching throughout. You obviously got more speakers here in the door for that ELS Studio 3D audio system, and the same kind of window controls and touch points that you get up front. In the back, you don't get any kind of vents or any kind of controls back here, but on this top trim, you do get two USB-C charge ports back here. So that's a nice touch, which means essentially you got five places to charge in this car. So literally everybody in the vehicle can be charging a device at the same time. So that's a lot considering, again, this is a small, compact, sedan. And if you check here, you have a pocket in the back of the passenger side, but not on the driver's side. And overall, again, good space. But I always like to show what it's like to have a booster seat back here. This is a pretty good position for the passenger seat, so you can easily fit a small child back here. Or if you had one of those huge rear-facing child seats in the back, fits back here no problem. Even the child latches are easy to access. So you could definitely get away with this as a single kind of family vehicle. But next, let's go ahead and hop out and check out the cargo area. All right, here we are with the cargo area of this 2026 Acura Integra A-Spec with technology package. So here we go. We're going to go ahead and open it up. There's a nice little grab handle here. You go ahead and just hit the button and struts take it right up. There's lots of space back here, guys. It's really nice. I mean, even with the seats folded up, there's 60/40 rear folding seats, but with them up, you have 24.3 cubic feet of space back here, guys, which is huge. It's actually very close to what you're going to get in many of these modern small crossovers, guys. So the Integra is very usable in its space back here. There's even a nice little cubby area with the net that comes with the car, and even a little bit of underfloor storage. So if you lift this up, there's a foam insert with two cutouts and even a tire repair kit already down there for you. There's LED lights back here at night, big speakers here in the D pillars. You also have this removable cargo cover. So it's kind of a nice soft fabric material, which is really nice because if you have a lot of stuff back here, you can actually still close it. And if it was a hard cover, you'd have to always remove it. But because it's got some flex to it, you don't always have to take it out, which is nice. And of course, lastly, you've got this huge ELS Studio 3D subwoofer back here for that 16 speaker audio system. So lots of great space. If you push the seats down, obviously that cargo area balloons even further. It's funny, I've seen a lot of owners and people online fit all kinds of things in their Integra. So you can definitely smash some Costco runs, but even put probably a big screen TV back here if you wanted to. So lots of great space. But next, let's go ahead and talk about the powertrain. All right, next, let's go ahead and talk about the powertrain of this Acura Integra A-Spec with technology package. So every Integra gets the same engine and front-wheel drive layout, but the transmission can change if you opt for that 6-speed manual on this top A-Spec technology package. The manual still isn't available on any other package, but the one that we have here today has the CVT transmission. So first, let's go ahead and talk about the engine. This is the L15, that's the engine code. It's a 1.5 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine. And in this configuration here, it makes 200 horsepower and 192 foot-pounds of torque mated to the CVT transmission. And like I said, if you want, you can still opt for that 6-speed manual transmission, but you have to choose this top A-Spec technology trim. But there's no better way than to prove that out than to get behind the wheel. So next, let's go ahead and take this thing for a drive.
All right, guys, here we are inside the 2026 Acura Integra A-Spec technology package, and we're gonna go ahead and take this thing for a drive. So foot on the brake, hit the engine start stop button. All right, go ahead, throw on my seatbelt, and yeah, we're gonna go ahead and take off. So full driving impressions, go over the same route that I usually take. This is the CVT transmission, as I mentioned, so we're gonna go ahead and just pull it back into D and set off. And the nice thing is you don't even have to manually disengage the parking brake by doing it. You just give it a little bit of throttle and it automatically disengages for you, which is nice. So as always, we'll talk about the different drive modes and how they change the characteristics and behavior of the vehicle. So first, let me go ahead and actually start off in comfort mode. So I pulled it back into comfort mode, and some of the things you'll notice is you get a graphic here in the center display. You get kind of blue rings around the RPM and the speedometer gauges here in the digital instrument cluster, letting you know that you're in comfort mode. But it kind of changes a few things. One of the things that it changes, and you notice right off the bat, is the adaptive suspension. So it gets much softer in comfort mode versus the other drive modes. And it's great for around driving, around town driving, and where the pavement is kind of in pretty bad shape. You can totally notice a difference stepping up between comfort, normal, and sport. So we'll drive it here in comfort just for a second. The other thing that you'll notice is the steering. So it does get a little bit lighter on the comfort drive mode, but it's not overly light. In fact, I say it's still a little bit on the heavier, kind of more sporty side of things, even in the comfort drive setting. And then lastly, the thing you're gonna notice is the throttle response and the tip-in with the comfort drive mode. Now, obviously that changes when you go to normal and sport. It gets a lot sharper, but not that it's overly laggy in comfort mode, but compared to the other drive modes, you definitely notice a difference. One of the other things that you probably notice is the car actually just turned off. So it does have the idle stop function, engine start stop technology. There is a button here, and yes, you do have to press it every time you get into the vehicle to turn it on and off. It doesn't remember the setting the last time you turn off the vehicle. So again, that's something that not only Acura but other OEMs are faced with in order to achieve strict emissions regulations and to get the best fuel economy. So yeah, you have to have it, unfortunately. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and push the button, which disables it. You get a little notification in the digital instrument cluster as well. And in that way, for the rest of the time you're driving, you don't have to worry about it. So the other thing we'll talk about during the drive are the paddle shifters. So again, this is a CVT transmission, which means there really are no gears. But basically, Acura has built in 7 simulated shift points that kind of behave like gear shifts while you're driving. So they kind of simulate it at different RPMs and gives you the sense that you're driving more of a traditional automatic transmission. But even without it, it's still generally really smooth, and only if you really want to be in more of an aggressive driving setting do I feel like the paddle shifters are even necessary. But we will talk about how those behave even in the sport driving mode, as well as the S transmission setting, because right now I have it pulled back into D, but if I pull it back further into S, that also changes kind of the shift logic within the CVT, and also helps it to hold those simulated gears, right, those shift points. So let's see how she does here, though. I'm still driving in comfort mode, and we're going to go over these kind of aggressive train tracks here in the comfort setting so we can see how it feels. The first one isn't as bad. It's kind of a typical, big speed bump train road track, but the second one is definitely a little bit more aggressive. So we're going to go ahead and see how that is here. So this first one, I'm just going to be going just about 30 miles an hour and see how it does over this. So here we go in comfort mode. Now that was pretty good, and again, since it's in the comfort suspension setting, it's pretty smooth. There was just a little bit of undulation, nothing too bad. But next we're going to go over this other kind of train track here, and this one is a little bit more aggressive. So I'm going to go about 35 miles an hour and post the speed limit, see how it does here. So no, and that was actually really good. Really really no suspension travel there, and everything was very smooth. Didn't like have any, really undulations into the cabin, and it still felt really good. So that's good. Now again, that's in comfort. So obviously if you're in normal or sport, it's gonna be a little bit more harsh. So now I'll go ahead and pull it up into the normal driving mode. Again, you get some changes to the digital instrument cluster. These, gray rings now around your speedometer and the RPM gauge. A little animation here, but a little image here. But overall, let's see how it does, because normal is essentially the default setting. So the first thing I can say is there's also a big difference in the throttle response between comfort and normal. I mean, all of a sudden the car feels a lot more peppy in normal mode. And then even the suspension, while it's not, overly stiff or harsh, it definitely got, more stiff compared to the comfort drive mode. But here we are. Since we're going to come up on a little bit of a straight, I'll go ahead and put it up into the top sport drive mode. Now you're going to get red gauges, another sport, kind of graphic here in the center display. And then even I'm going to pull the transmission back into S to see how it does. So here we go. I'm going to take off and then just get into it. Now wide open throttle. Off there, got at a pretty good speed, and yeah, the car's definitely quick. It takes a second to build up some boost and get going, but once it does, you kind of really feel it, surge forward there. And so it's kind of surprising, how much it actually picks up. But let's talk about those paddle shifters. So like I said, if I hit the minus now, it says SM for manual and then 4 for the gear. If I pull it again, now it says SM3 for the third gear. So essentially it kind of like behaves like an automatic transmission, but it can help with engine braking and slowing you down, kind of like a typical gear shifting automatic would. But the nice thing is it does let you start in like a first gear, and that definitely feels a lot peppier when you do. And plus, it again, like I said, when you're driving on like more curvy roads or canyon roads, it does help to like hold a simulated gear. So here we are in SM1, and then wide open throttle. It did automatically upshift, but man, that got me to 60 a lot quicker than had I just been in normal D driving mode and then floored it. So there is something to be said about the simulated gear shifts, how they behave, and how you can use them to your advantage to get a faster, acceleration. It is a noticeable difference than just being in the D drive mode, and by having it back in S and then manually controlling the gears. Now, the other thing that you can do is, because you may forget you're in manual mode, or in most cases it will automatically upshift for you. But if you do pull and hold the plus, paddle shifter, it'll get you out of that manual mode and turn it back to just a sport shift setting. Now, the thing is, I'll go back up into drive. You can, of course, use the kind of paddle shifters even in the normal drive mode. And whether really any mode you're in, it lets you use them. But the key difference is that it kind of quickly goes back and will upshift and change the gears for you if you're not in the sport, the S transmission gear. If you're in the drive, it does actually change back quite a bit quicker. But here, one of the things I'll notice is the handling on this car. Again, I'm in the sport driving mode right now, so the steering does get a lot heavier, but even in this most aggressive sport setting, it's still very usable. It's, sometimes automakers can make the steering just overly heavy where it's almost a burden to steer, but here it's actually a really nice weight in really any of the drive modes. But sport doesn't make it overly heavy, but still makes it fun to drive. And so yeah, there's a lot of good out of the CVT transmission. Obviously they still make a 6-speed manual transmission even for this A-Spec model with the Tech package. And of course, if you step up to something like Type S, it's going to be 6-speed manual transmission only. So let me know your guys' thoughts and comments down below. Let me know if you want to see other trims of this new 2026 refresh on the channel, or if you want to see other competitors here on Drive Culture. Of course, I'd be happy to bring you that content. And with that, we're going to go ahead and wrap up this drive review.
All right, guys, that's a wrap. What did you think of the 2026 Acura Integra A-Spec with technology package? Is this the best trim to go with? Did the refresh changes they made for 2026 really take Integra up to the next level in this compact sports sedan segment? Let me know your guys' thoughts and comments down below. Also, let me know if you want to see other trims or even other competitors from other brands here on Drive Culture, because of course I'd be happy to bring you that content as well. So if you joined me before, thank you so much. But if you're new to the channel, please be sure to click that bell to subscribe to come back for more. Thanks, and we'll see you at the next episode.